As the owner of the store with the most comprehensive range of security doors in the city, my favorite things are selling doors and making money. But things have been really strange lately. The doors with protection levels comparable to bulletproof doors, which nobody ever buys, have seen a surge in orders. These customers don't haggle, they just rush in and ask, "Boss, which is your best door? How secure is it? How soon can you install it? Out of stock? No problem, pay extra to get it quicker. All installers are booked? No worries, pay extra to jump the queue. Can't cut the line? Then that means I haven't paid enough, let's add another 1,000. I want to make money, but I don't want to work myself to death. Why is someone acting like they're playing 007? This has led to me working overtime all week, ordering more stock, installing doors, and collecting payments. Everyone is exhausted either installing a door or on the way to do so. That day, while delivering after hours, I ran into a customer busy moving boxes and renovating at home. The room was empty, no furniture, with piles of boxes scattered everywhere. Besides the 2 employees I brought to install a door, there were a few guys with the customer discussing window reinforcement in the living room. I caught a few words like bulletproof, solar power, how soon, and extra payment. Paying extra again? Customers really have deep pockets these days, huh? I'm genuinely puzzled. When did this common prosperity thing happen without me? Noticing my eavesdropping, the customer explained, his girlfriend has a victim complex and always feels insecure about the house. I chuckled and pretended to understand, but internally, I thought, with a house fortified like a prison, how severe is this condition? Before I left, the customer handed me an extra $1,000, thanking me for working late, and said, "Boss, monkeypox is here too now. Maybe stock up at home just in case of lockdowns." I gratefully accepted the money and promised to stay vigilant with safety measures. On the way downstairs, I crossed paths with their delivery guy, ferrying large bottled waters. They must be really sick, turning their home into a fortress and hoarding supplies as if they plan never to step outside again. On the way home, the customer's words echoed in my mind, stock up at home against lockdowns. Passing by the local grocery store, I impulsively bought a few bags of flour and eggs. At home, I vented to my best friend Judy about the odd customers today and shared how the surge in orders has utterly exhausted me. Judy grew serious hearing about bulletproof doors, windows, and customers paying extra for rushed jobs. She suddenly asked with concern, "Are many people buying bulletproof doors and rushing renovations lately?" Me? Yeah. In the last 2 weeks, I've sold more bulletproof doors than in the past 3 years combined. Our installers are on the verge of quitting due to overwork, only staying with double bonuses. Judy, we've seen a spike in orders at the wholesale market too, trucks are barely keeping up. Doesn't it all seem strange? Judy works in logistics at the city's largest wholesale market, which has everything from vegan products to farm goods, and fruits and grains. Me, it is weird. While delivering today, a customer even advised me to stock up to avoid a lockdown. Maybe they know something ahead of time and are preparing. I don't want to go back to paying $28 for a pack of veggies with just 2 flimsy peppers and a potato. Judy, if it were about a lockdown, why reinforce their homes too? Seems like they're not only preparing to stay inside but also to keep others out. Me, you're onto something. That customer today made it seem like he never plans to leave once inside. He mentioned monkeypox being in the country. What if it mutated and turned out worse than COVID? They've also set up solar panels and stocked loads of bottled water, enough to be self-sufficient at home for a month or 2. Judy, considering this, maybe we should stock up too, just in case. If a serious lockdown hits, at least we won't starve. This round seems worse than before. Let's keep an eye on international news for related outbreaks. Maybe you should get us one of those top-notch bulletproof doors for our place too? I agreed and planned with Judy. She'd pick up some grains while at work tomorrow, and I'd arrange for our staff to work extra yet again to fit a door in our home. The next day, another customer came in to order a door. A sweet-looking young woman desperately requested our best bulletproof door. Given our crew's current heavy workload, I told her we were out of stock. I informed her the soonest installation would be in 2 weeks. She hesitated and asked if I knew any other suppliers. Truthfully, I let her know that nearby small dealers get their stock from us, and there really were none available. The quickest would be from another city. She took the contact info for the out-of-town supplier and inquired if we could handle an outdoor iron gate and electric grid installation. I said sure and asked if she lived in the suburban garden town where break-ins have reportedly increased. An iron gate and grid could help deter burglars. She said no and provided an address instead. A high-end single-family villa complex in the city? Puzzled, I triple-checked the address with her. She confirmed it and insisted on prioritizing her installation. Upon agreeing, she left hurriedly after paying a deposit. My curiosity grew, so I quickly phoned Judy to recount what just happened and asked if she could find out where the market's goods were being delivered. Judy checked back and gave me a call. As we pieced everything together, we realized something was off. These delivery locations were all affluent neighborhoods, where residents were both wealthy and well-informed. They began hoarding supplies and reinforcing their homes, indicating something serious was brewing. Even during the worst pandemic, reinforcement wasn't necessary. After a discussion with Judy, we decided to follow suit and ramp up our stockpiling, not just grains, but also bottled water. We live in a 3-bedroom apartment. Judy and I each occupy a room, with the remaining one as a shared closet. We decided to have Judy buy 5 bags of rice, 5 boxes of instant noodles, 10 boxes of miscellaneous discounted snacks, and 20 jugs of bottled water from the market. That should last us a month or two, hopefully until the lockdown ends. Meanwhile, I headed home early to clear out the walk-in closet for storage. On my way back, I passed by the pharmacy and saw the young woman I noticed earlier. She was rushing towards her car, carrying a bunch of bags. I remembered she didn't answer her phone when I called to confirm the installation time, so I hurried over to say hi and check on the appointment. She seemed startled and tried to hide her bags behind her. She explained she bought vitamins and supplements for the elderly because the pharmacy was having a sale. I nodded in understanding and told her the renovation team would arrive at 10 a.m. tomorrow, and she agreed to the time. But I caught a glimpse of amoxicillin, erythromycin, and cold medicine in her bags. Why so secretive? Why buy so much? Back home, I started organizing the room. Once done, I flopped on the couch and scrolled through my phone. I stumbled across a bizarre video. It looked like security footage from a lab. There were loud screams and alarms blaring. In the center of the room, someone was thrashing around in a creepy way, covered in what looked like big red patches, possibly blood. Through the room's glass, I could see panicked people scrambling outside. Comments were filled with people asking for the movie title and mocking the uploader for not providing any context. When I tried to take a closer look, the video got removed. Wait a minute, I started connecting the dots, people stockpiling, installing heavy security doors, as if preparing to never leave their homes again. A mutated virus? Could it be zombies? Once the thought of zombies popped into my head, I couldn't shake it. Why were people not just hoarding but also preventing anyone from getting inside? What if those outside weren't human anymore, and we had to survive on our own? A ring. My thoughts were interrupted by the phone ringing. It was Judy, downstairs with all the supplies, calling me to help her carry them up. I rushed to take the elevator down, telling Judy about the weird video. Jokingly, I asked her, "Do you think zombies are coming? Like Resident Evil 2024, I expected her to laugh it off, but she didn't. Judy replied, "It might really be zombies." Earlier, a client came around to schedule a delivery and I overheard his phone call. He said the outbreak had spread, and the military couldn't contain it. The video you saw was deleted. If the zombie virus escaped a lab, it all makes sense. My smile froze. Just a minute ago, I joked about being the first zombie without pain. Now, it felt like doomsday was actually coming. I had only one thought: survive. I need to survive. My mind kept replaying scenes from movies of blood-soaked people biting and tearing at survivors, dismembered limbs, the stench of rot, and screams for help. Heart racing, feeling like a giant hand squeezed my chest, unable to breathe. Trapped in a dark corner with no escape. A chilling sensation spread through me, leaving me cold. So many questions swirled in my mind, hoping to conclude it's not zombies or the end of the world. But each conclusion got challenged by my own doubts. Judy noticed my silence and gently nudged me. "What's going on?" Snapped back to reality, I tried to calm down and focus on what's real. "So, what do we do now? Today's haul could last a month or two for us. Our parents are back home. If this is real, we need to be together. Plus, we only have assumptions, no real proof of a virus causing zombies. If nothing happens, all this prepping will be for nothing, and it's back to the grind." Judy nodded. "You're right. First priority, let's get our parents to the city. And if nothing happens, well, hopefully, there's no apocalypse, then maybe we turn your door store into a grocery shop instead." We huddled together in Judy's room, chatting for hours from possible doomsday scenarios to life stories, finally deciding on prepping for at least 6 months. We drew up a checklist by urgency. 1. Bring our parents to W City. They're too old to understand us going, "Hey, doomsday's coming, let's spend all our money on supplies and hide away." They might hire a shaman to cast out demons. Instead, we'll say I'm switching careers to open a grocery store and need their help. They'll come, and if all's well, it'll feel like a vacation. Judy's and my parents were high school classmates, lifelong best friends, living in the small town they were born in. Our ties extended to our generation, making us more at home in each other's houses. If I cite needing help, both sides will be more than happy. Find a bigger place for 6. Our current 3-bedroom apartment won't do when our parents arrive. We'll crash on the sofa bed, but where do we store supplies? Plus, earlier, while lugging boxes of snacks in the elevator, we ran into a neighbor. The old man downstairs remarked how much junk food we were buying and rambled about his own grandkids' bad eating habits. 3. If the apocalypse really hits, being spotted moving supplies could make us the first target. I thought about that client I worked late for. Their house was almost empty, just packed with cardboard boxes. Definitely not a regular home. It was more like a fortified warehouse built just for this purpose. We're looking for a fortress that's hidden, safe, uncrowded, and spacious. Ideally, it should be in an area we're familiar with. Being somewhere familiar gives you a sense of security, and it's easier to keep tabs on what's happening around you. Judy suggested there's a foreclosed apartment for rent deep in the neighborhood. We should check it out. The top floor of Building 14, Units 1404 and 1405, is connected into one large space, roughly 3-400 square meter. While gossiping with the neighborhood aunties, I learned the place has terrible feng shui. Supposedly sinister. It used to be owned by a big government official who ended up disgraced and committed suicide at home. Apparently, the police were shocked by the extravagance during the investigation. The house went through a foreclosure process, then was bought by a local business owner. He moved in and within a year went bankrupt, couldn't pay up, so it went back to his creditors, listed for rent ever since. But the place is huge and the history is so bad that no one's been interested in renting it. The size is definitely sufficient, and due to its history, the occupancy rate is lower than in other buildings. The house is often rented out, the landlord doesn't live there, so there's flexibility with renovations. Even if we're really worried about the apocalypse, we can't just break the law based on a hunch. If there's no apocalypse, we could end up in court over renovation issues. Imagine getting out of apocalypse preparations only to land back in prison. Since we don't know exactly when or if the apocalypse will come, we can't prepare entirely up front. Keeping supplies near where we usually live means we could quickly move them if disaster strikes. Supply preparation. Judy and I aren't great cooks, so we just thought of stocking up on instant noodles, rice, and water. We decided to spend a few days researching online about earthquake emergency kits, apocalypse supply lists, and how to stock a store. We'll then buy enough supplies for 6 people for 6 months. Judy works at a wholesale market, which is super helpful. Stockpiling supplies becomes easy once we decide on the quantities and types. We can even fast-track our deliveries. Fortress reinforcement. Reinforcing the fortress involves doors and windows. The door is easier to handle. Once the place is decided, I can arrange for installation in a day. The windows are more complicated. Replacing all windows isn't easy, it's time-consuming, and we need to consider if the installation team might notice. Changing all the windows is too obvious, standing out in a row of normal residential buildings. After discussing, we couldn't reach a conclusion on reinforcing the windows, so we decided to check the house first and then adjust based on the situation. If push comes to shove, we can reinforce from the inside. Never mind the aesthetics, shut it tight with steel plates and cement, build our own little prison, just kidding. Judy and I talked late into the night, almost exhausted before we washed up and finally got to bed. I remembered the hesitant look on that young girl's face when she heard the door could take 2 weeks to install. If the apocalypse is really coming, she'd likely know it would hit within 15 days or sooner. So, we gave ourselves 7 days to get everything ready. Check the time before bed, September 13th, 2024, 4:14. What a lousy time, shouldn't have looked. With that thought, I slowly closed my eyes but couldn't fall asleep peacefully. The fear of the future swept over my mind again. Is the apocalypse really coming? Can I survive it? The room was eerily quiet when I woke up. After freshening up, I knocked on Judy's door to wake her, but got no response. A little strange, we agreed last night to check out the place this morning. Why is she still in bed? I sat on the couch, turned on the TV to watch some news while waiting for Judy. The TV turned on but showed no signal, the room echoed with static. What the heck? I knelt before it, using my ancestral skill of, if there's a problem, just restart, and smacked the TV. The reflection on the dark screen showed Judy coming out of her room. Me, hey, come check out what's wrong with the TV. Judy didn't reply, slowly coming towards me with a weird walking style. Slow and stiff, just one slipper on. Sensing something was off, I quickly turned around and the sight almost destroyed me. Judy was no longer Judy. Her eyes were blood red, only half her face was hanging on. Her mouth opened and closed, her throat producing a rasp as if trying to speak, but no words came out. I bolted out of the door, raced down the apartment hall. All I could hear was my own frantic heartbeat. No birds, no cicadas, no people, no cars. Suddenly. Boom. An explosion echoed from the distant gas station, followed by the rumble of chaos and the sound of people running. What was it? I stared towards the street outside our complex. Saw it clearly, a people. Twisted, bloody silhouettes of people. I woke from the dream, wiped the sweat from my forehead. Grabbed my phone to check the time, September 13th, 2024, 8:23. The sense of impending doom about the apocalypse only grew stronger. I, who barely passed a college 800m run and struggled with lung capacity tests under the hopeless gaze of doctors, would definitely be the first to go in a zombie chase. I made a firm decision to seize the moment, prepare in advance, and if nothing happens, open a supermarket. Better to lose a bit of money than a life, right? Got out of bed to go to the living room but paused with my hand on the doorknob. Memories of the dream were still so vivid. What was waiting for me beyond this door? For I pressed my ear against the door and listened. The blender was buzzing away. It sounded like Judy was casually walking from the bathroom to the living room. I finally relaxed a bit and stepped out of my room. Seeing me coming, Judy said, "You're awake." I've already contacted the real estate agent. We've got a viewing set for 5 p.m. today. I also called our parents. Told them you're planning to change careers and asked them to come over. Their flight arrives the day after tomorrow. They were pretty speechless about it, saying you're just messing around again. My head was still foggy, replaying last night's dream. I absent-mindedly responded with a couple of nods. A sip of water later, I calmed down a bit. I first called the store employees to let them know I appreciated their hard work during overtime, giving them a week of paid vacation starting tomorrow. The house viewing wasn't until the afternoon, so in the morning, Judy and I discussed the supply list. We figured, considering the shelf life of food and how to deal with supplies if the zombie apocalypse doesn't happen, to stock up for about 6 months. Adults need 2,000 to 2,300 milliliters of water daily, which is about 7 to 8 cups. For 6 of us, we need at least 12 liters a day. Household water jugs are usually 18.6 each, which means roughly 2 jugs every 3 days. For 6 months, we'd need at least 150 jugs. That number shocked both Judy and me. Where would we even put so much water? Plus, there's the weight aspect. 1 jug can weigh 36 pounds. That's 2,700 kilograms of water altogether, and just thinking about moving it makes my legs weak. Aside from daily drinking water, we also need to stock up on water for everyday use. Judging from shows and movies, if a zombie virus breaks out and is tough to manage, city order will break down quickly, making water and electricity unreliable. Storing everyday water in jugs would make transport and trash management tricky. After much thought, we decided there's no compromising on the amount of drinking water. We need to save water for household use as much as possible, maybe get some large water tanks. Initially, we could use with water purification tools. We'd skip washing clothes and showers, using wet wipes instead. Being natives of the South, rice is our staple food. So, we plan to get 30 bags of vacuum-packed rice, 5 bags each of flour and glutinous rice flour. 4 noodles, 5 boxes of regular ones, and each 3 boxes of round, flat, and long spaghetti. Oh, and seasonings too. 10 jugs of oil, 5 boxes each of salt, sugar, pepper, MSG, chili powder, light soy sauce, and dark soy sauce. It struck us that cooking also uses a lot of drinking water. Preparing only drinking water might not last 6 months, so we boosted that number to 200 jugs. We categorized meat based on how easy it is to preserve. 30 pounds of pork belly, 10 handled chickens, and 20 pounds each of beef and lamb. Also, 10 pounds each of sausages, cured meat, horse meat, and blood cake. Inventory list. Water, 218. 6L jugs staples, 30 bags of vacuum-packed rice, 5 bags of flour, 5 bags of glutinous rice flour, 5 boxes of noodles, 3 boxes each of round, flat, and long spaghetti. Seasonings, 10 jugs of oil, 5 boxes each of salt, sugar, pepper, MSG, chili powder, light soy sauce, dark soy sauce. Meat, 30 pounds of pork belly, 10 chickens, 20 pounds each of beef and lamb, 10 pounds each of sausages, cured meat, horse sausage, blood cake, canned food, 10 boxes each of fish, vegetable, and meat cans. Pre-cooked meals, initially planned 10 boxes, but considering even without an apocalypse, delivery could be pre-made meals, bumped it to 20 boxes. Household goods, 10 boxes of compressed towels, 10 boxes of alcohol wipes, replaced sanitary pads with tampons for easier storage, totaling 30 boxes, a modest buy of bathing supplies as water will need to be rationed, total 2 boxes, 30 boxes each of disposable underwear. Produce, listing 5 pounds each of potatoes, winter squash, radishes, sweet potatoes, apples. We'll keep adding these from the market daily rather than buying all at once. Other, put in 5 boxes of compressed biscuits and 2 boxes of chocolate since survival shows always pack those, threw in 5 boxes of snacks and nuts because while they're big on packaging, they don't store well. I was scribbling on the list when Judy suddenly let out a chuckle. You know, if it's really the apocalypse and there are zombies everywhere, and we're still here thinking about eating well, it's pretty hilarious. Just stir-fry a brain. I was speechless for a second but found it amusing too. Trying to keep a serious face, I said, stop laughing, think about what excuse you'll come up with when placing this order, so they don't think you're crazy. Stretching and getting up from the computer, Judy and I planned for her to go to the market in the morning, placing orders and having the warehouse prep the supplies for delivery as soon as we find a storage spot. I headed to the pharmacy to pick up essentials like medications for digestive health, colds, allergies, and anti-inflammatories. While I was at the checkout, I overheard a conversation between 2 ladies in line. Lady A, isn't Lucas back today? I thought he was flying in. Lady B, he was, but someone on his flight suddenly went berserk, biting people and coughing up blood. They think it might be rabies. They had to emergency land in LA, and everyone's being quarantined. My son was sitting far from the guy, but they're making him stay isolated for 14 days. Lady A, that's scary. Poor Lucas, such bad luck. You must be worried sick about him. My heart sank. It's real. All those zombie speculations are true. And it's already this close to us? No time to waste, we don't have 7 days. If Los Angeles is affected, it means the government knows and is trying to handle it. W City has outbound flights. Do we have them around us too? Where are they being quarantined now? I quickly called Judy. Judy, hurry, tell the real estate agent we'll rent 1404 and 1405. See if there are any other places available on that floor too, we want them all. We need the supplies delivered to my store's warehouse today. There's no time. I'll contact Mom and Dad now to buy the tickets and come over today. Judy sounded panicked. What's going on? Slow down and tell me. I told her about overhearing an older lady's conversation. Doomsday is really coming, and it's already spread to our country, which is why the rich people know already. It seems like it's under control for now. But the screams and the lonely alarms in the lab's video showed it's not that easy. Can humanity really control this crisis? I hung up and quickly called my parents, who were all eating together. They seemed startled by my frantic demeanor but promised they'd check the tickets right away and come over as fast as possible. After dumping what I'd bought at the pharmacy in the trunk, I rushed to the hardware store, a hiking gear store, and a sporting goods store. Picked up some trench shovels, stun batons, fire axes, and baseball bats. In my haste, I didn't check my phone. It had over 20 missed calls from Judy. I called her back. Turns out the supplies are on the way, but the warehouse is too full. Judy asked where the spare key to the store was so they could stack them inside the store. I told her it was in the delivery locker at the entrance. The code was 0090. While waiting at a red light, I looked up and saw a pair of unnaturally red eyes staring back at me through the bars of a police car. The sudden eye contact scared me so much I stumbled back, almost bumping into someone behind me. I stood there stunned as the police car zoomed away. Fear engulfed me, choking me from all directions. W City already has it. How did it happen so fast? I wasn't ready. My parents aren't here yet. The supplies aren't moved, and the house isn't fortified. Will what I've prepared be enough? Bring, the phone startled me. I pulled it out nervously. Mom's voice came through the line. Honey, all the tickets for the next 2 days are sold out. The ones we previously booked got cancelled too because of some flight restrictions. Your aunt said a lot of flights got cancelled recently. If you're too busy, don't rush to open up the store. We'll come once flights resume. Hearing this, a sense of doom washed over me. W City will probably lock down. The virus hasn't spread widely yet, it likely started from larger international cities. My folks' small town might still be okay, for now. I told Mom to stay home and not try to come over. I frantically urged her to stock up quickly, grab my uncles and aunts, and head to the countryside, secure the house, and stay hidden. My voice trembled and broke into tears. My mother, clearly scared, just kept reassuring me. We ended the call only after I sobbing pleaded and she promised to stock up. I sat back in the car, trying to reorganize my thoughts. The supplies needed to be moved into the house immediately. But it was rush hour, and moving such a quantity would certainly attract attention. Should I wait until late night when there are fewer people? But who knows when the zombie outbreak would start? If whatever that thing in the police car was breaks loose today, do I still have time to move the goods late at night? I had 2 choices. 1. Move the supplies now, risk getting noticed, and hope even at the brink of doomsday, people aren't that cruel. 2. Wait until late night, possibly avoid detection, and hope the lockdown or zombie outbreak doesn't happen today. Throughout life, we face many choices. From what to have for lunch to which city to build a life in or whom to spend a lifetime with. I always trust my gut and don't overthink once my decision is made. But this was my first time facing a choice that could impact my life so directly. Trust humanity or fate? Right now, I wished more than anything that someone else could make this decision for me. The image of Judy with half a face in my dream flashed in my head again. I wasn't alone. I needed to protect my friends too. I choose to trust fate. In a doomsday, there's no humanity. When faced with life threats, people shed the skin of civilization, revealing a ferocity not seen in animals. After all, compared to the simple rule of survival of the fittest in the animal world, the human world has bred a deeper darkness. With this in mind, I rushed home, packed essential personal items, and moved them to the rented house. I packed 2 large suitcases with bedding, toiletries, and personal clothes. I moved them from the underground garage to Building 14, cautiously taking the elevator down at the 16th floor. Then, I used the fire stairs down to the 14th floor, making sure no one was in the hallway before entering the apartment. After securing the personal supplies, I rushed back to the store. I told Judy about the eyes I saw in the police car and the fact that my parents weren't coming, and we must move the supplies and hide. Judy's face visibly changed with all these bad news. Before this, we were in a state of half-belief, uncertainly stockpiling, always having an escape plan. We harbored optimistic hope for the future, thinking maybe doomsday won't come and we could enjoy being together as a family. But the fact was that we weren't ready, and doomsday is really coming. Judy steadied herself and said, "We have to move the supplies tonight without getting noticed. Based on survival importance, load 30 barrels of water and compressed biscuits into 1 truck and park it in Building 14's underground garage. I'll pack another truck into my SUV. If there's time, we'll make more trips." This afternoon was spent in a hectic rush, moving stuff with our hearts in our throats. During that time, we ran into a drunk guy in the elevator, stumbling all over the place. He almost made us scream. Then we saw kids downstairs, yelling and chasing each other in some game, scaring us so much that we bolted into the building and almost twisted an ankle. I saw some gruesome domestic violence news on my phone and thought something big had happened. It freaked me out so much that I skipped the elevator and hauled up to the 14th floor via the fire stairs. It sounds ridiculous, but we were so stressed that we were 1 step away from going totally nuts. Finally, it hit midnight. We waited in our room until the elevator sounds died down before sneaking out to start moving stuff. Thankfully, it went smoothly. Each of us used an elevator to stash supplies in the fire stair landings on floors 13 to 16, then moved them into the rooms once full. We did this from 1 a.m. until 6 a.m. Even though we didn't finish moving everything from the warehouse by 6 a.m. We knew old folks heading to the early market or commuters catching the subway would notice us, so we didn't risk it. After getting the last fruit box into the room, we collapsed on the cluttered living room floor, exhausted. Scrolling through my phone, we were relieved there was no lockdown alert yet, thinking we could stock up one more time tonight. But then, suddenly, a piercing scream came from downstairs. What the hell? Judy and I exchanged looks and rushed to the window with binoculars. Across the street, a guy in blue was biting a lady's arm who was holding grocery bags. Blood was seeping through her sleeve. Passers-by tried to yank the guy off her, but he wouldn't let go. Her son, seeing her hurt, swung a chair at the guy's head. But the guy in blue twisted his head at a weird angle, dodging it, and lunged at the son instead. People screamed and scattered. At the intersection, more people, looking like the blue-clad guy, started running toward the crowd. The TV switched from an entertainment show to a blue screen with white text, "Emergency notice. Citizens attention. An unidentified virus transferred from abroad has breached our quarantine. It's spreading fast in our city. Special protective forces are being deployed to contain it. Citizens, seal your windows and doors and stay home. Stay quiet. Avoid contact with the outside world. It's happening. The apocalypse is here." Judy stared at the TV for a moment, then bolted to check the door locks. I followed suit, finding something heavy to barricade the entrance. It feels weird, the apocalypse is real, but somehow not being afraid of the unknown feels relieving. Maybe our biggest fear isn't death or the apocalypse, it's the fear of losing control of the future. Day 1 of the apocalypse 20240915. In the morning, after barricading the door, Judy and I sorted through our supplies. Though we didn't get everything inside, it's enough for just the two of us to last a year. We put stuff with shorter shelf lives front and center to use first and agreed to tightly ration our water. Showers are out of the question, survival essentials only. We left one bedroom for sleeping. Phone signals were spotty, and I kept failing to make calls or send messages. I got some official news alerts about the virus outbreak and lockdown in W City, but nothing about rescue plans or virus details. The outbreak must have happened early before rush hour, so not many people were out. Zombies in blue scattered with the fleeing crowd. Using binoculars, we saw a handful of zombies wandering below. A crashed car left the gate exposed. Blood-flecked handprints covered the security booth's closed glass doors. The lady with the grocery arm was left with a bloody stub and roamed around, her apron soaked dark red. Through the tree's shade, a half-body crawled forward, leaving a dark red blood trail from the gates to the bushes. Seeing this chaos, Judy and I couldn't stomach a meal. We decided to take turns resting and watching for changes. "Wonder how my parents are doing," Judy whispered. The news only mentioned W City. Other places might be safe. "Your hometown must be fine, it must be." I patted her back, comforting her as much as myself. "Hey, what's that?" Judy suddenly asked. She pointed, the security booth had someone waving an orange cap for help. I looked through the binoculars. It seemed like a cleaner's cap. After 20 minutes of waving with no rescue, they stopped. Judy and I stayed silent, not saying a word. Growing up, we were taught to help others, but facing a life-threatening crisis, we're scared, selfish. Folks safe at home might last 10 days, depending on supplies. Those trapped elsewhere are already facing the apocalypse's challenges and brutality. Day 3 of the apocalypse 20240917. The network hasn't recovered, keeping us from contacting family or the outside world. 7 Judy and I took turns nervously watching our surroundings. The city felt like it had hit pause and mute. After the initial terrifying screams, everything was blanketed in an eerie silence. We'd occasionally spot shadows behind curtains in the buildings across from us, but they would quickly freeze up too. The zombies downstairs came and went, showing no special signs or movements. Right now, there were only 3 or 4 zombies wandering around in our field of vision. At the break of dawn, the sound of something heavy hitting the ground came from below. I rushed to the window to see a garbage bag had appeared. Those 3 zombies seemed drawn to the noise, gathering towards the bag in front of building. Just when I thought it was just someone taking out the trash, the door of Building 13 opened. A man in flip-flops quietly sneaked out, heading towards our building. Even though it was only a 20-meter dash, it made everyone watching hold their breath with racing hearts. The distance between the two units was really small, and the zombies were all gathered in front of door 14. The flip-flop guy could easily make it if he just veered a little alongside the green patch. But things went south fast. A one-legged zombie, who'd been hiding in the bushes below Building 14, lunged with unexpected force and bit him. The flip-flop guy let out a painful whimper as blood gushed from his wound. The smell must have triggered the nearby zombies, as they twisted and turned to join in the gruesome feast. The flip-flop man soon ran out of fight, looking up at our building with a mouthed "I'm sorry." Upstairs, a child's cry broke the silence but was quickly stifled. Judy had somehow ended up behind me, letting out a low sigh. While the zombies feasted on the flip-flop guy, two figures dashed out from the security booth. Judging by their uniforms, they were two janitors who slipped into Building 14. Maybe that's life for you. Hope and despair often show up hand in hand, resting on different shoulders. And for us, who could only watch, it was a reminder of life's unpredictability. Powerless, we couldn't share the joy of hope or the burden of death. Day 5 of the Apocalypse, 20240919. That afternoon, Judy gently woke me up from a nap. She told me we had signal, but she didn't look happy. I quickly grabbed my phone to call my parents, but all I got was a mechanical voice: "The user is not in service." "What the hell, Judy, did you get through?" I muttered, redialing. "My parents are safe in the countryside, right? I thought the virus thing was just here. How can this be?" Taking the phone from my hand, Judy held my gaze, saying, "I've been trying, but I can't get through either. This is the apocalypse now. Signals are rare. We need to stay calm, gather info, and survive, okay?" Her eyes were teary. I looked at Judy's serious face, and my mind drifted back to that summer. We were both in elementary school, at a camp together. Caught in a sudden downpour while exploring, I slipped and fell, trailing behind and losing the group. But Judy was steady even then, as calm and mature as ever. She was my age yet held my hand, reassuring me while guiding us to the nearest restroom where we could find help. She has always been like this, looking out for me, protecting me. Bringing myself back to the present, I tried to shut down my growing fears about my parents' safety. With Judy, we sifted through news and messages on our phones. Official reports said the city was being cleared from the outskirts toward the center, facing obstacles along the way. At first, the authorities weren't aware of the virus's nature. Initially, they controlled its import because it was highly contagious. But the lab responsible for the outbreak refused to provide info. Only after quarantine did they discover the virus not only spreads rapidly and aggressively but causes irreversible harm to humans. Infected folks aren't considered human anymore. Once the virus broke through quarantine, and after seeing the chaos abroad, the military got involved, opting for deadly force to control it. It spreads through blood and saliva. If bitten, a person turns within 5 minutes, becoming rabid, thirsty for human blood. Even scratches can infect, leading to a change in about an hour. Besides our city, a few ports and border towns were hit. The nation quickly imposed home lockdowns. Currently, a city and nearby areas have the highest number of infected. With quarantine zones near the station and a dense population, the number soared exponentially. Escaping infected folks spread it further via train travel, though in smaller spurts. Unfortunately, we found no info on my parents' town. Our phones were flooded with cries for help. One person stuck in a subway bathroom for 5 days without food, another business traveler with no food at home desperately trading for instant noodles. The community chat was buzzing. Opportunities to trade, requests for help, laments about life's unpredictability. Anyone got extra food? We'll trade for ramen. Been eating only ramen for 3 days and can't take it anymore. When will the government help? It's been so quiet, no sounds of gunfire or anything. Anyone seen those janitors who ran in the other day? They knocked on my door. I was too scared to answer. Does a bite always turn you into a zombie? $2,000 for a half bag of rice. I got a drone to pick it up, please. Are there zombies in our building? The issue with apartment 503 got me really curious. When things went crazy, we weren't watching downstairs the whole time. So we have no clue about the escape path of the infected folks there. Nobody's sure if there are zombies in the building. Once that rumor started, everyone stopped swapping supplies. The community chat filled with complaints about the slow rescue efforts. Judy and I didn't feel like keeping tabs anymore. There wasn't any useful info, so we just turned off our phones and tried to get some rest. Day 7 of the apocalypse, 2024-09-22. In the morning, I was checking out the surroundings. Maybe it was just me, but it seemed like there were more zombies downstairs. Here's the weird part, they were wearing pajamas, not outdoor clothes. It was strange because the government had already announced the rescue situation. It's only the 7th day. Why would anyone risk their life to leave home? Even in an emergency, you'd think they'd suit up a bit before heading out. Judy and I were counting the zombies and talking about them when a message in the community chat caught our eye. 14 to 208, anyone else notice this? There's this stink coming into my apartment from outside the door these past couple of days. 14 to 403, maybe you live on a low floor and it's the smell from those creatures. 14 to 208, I've never opened my windows. I swear it's coming from the hall. I'm too scared to open the door or make a noise. The hallway is pitch black, and the smell is like rotting meat. That chat quickly got buried under other stuff. Nobody seemed to pay much attention. Right then, we didn't know that fate was already turning its gears. Many of us would pay with our lives for ignoring these signs. Still no word on rescue progress today. Just the same initial announcement online about the virus basics. Even though we're on the 14th floor, Judy and I took note of the stink reported from the 2nd floor. We don't know when help will arrive, so we sealed the door gaps with plastic wrap and towels to block the smell. In these 7 days, apart from the initial shock, the reality of a zombie apocalypse hasn't hit us hard. In W City, the outbreak timing was relatively early, so there aren't many zombies. Lots of survivors are around. Judy and I just have to keep watch in shifts. Life isn't much different from before the outbreak. Can the apocalypse really stay this calm? Day 13 of the apocalypse, 2024-09-28. It's been a week since the rescue notice came out. No updates. People are getting restless, and the internet is full of angry comments. In the community chat, everyone shifted from waiting for salvation to cursing and deciding it's up to us to survive. The owners of Building 13, started by a guy from the 12th floor, formed a group to gather supplies. They're rallying men in the chat to head to the mini-market at the community entrance. A resident from 14 to 203 also joined in. The plan was to start from the underground garage, then head to the entrance through the garage to avoid zombies on the streets. The chat buzzed with people discussing makeshift armor and what to bring. Others asked the group to pick up necessities for them, too. It seemed hopeful. The zombie numbers downstairs were low. A few strong adults could likely make it and bring back supplies. But things didn't go as planned. The meeting time came and went, and nobody came out the garage entrance. As Judy and I watched anxiously, a bloody figure rushed out, screaming for help. Barely moments passed, and he didn't need any. He spewed blood and twisted in agony. His eyes turned red, veins bulging in his neck. Nearby zombies seemed drawn to his cries, but once they reached him, they lost interest and wandered again. Isn't that the lady from the package station? Judy pointed out. Doesn't she live on the 2nd floor of our building? I looked and saw the package lady had become a zombie, with a massive wound on her neck. But she's wearing pajamas. Yeah, I think she's from 208 or something. I remember her chatting in the group before. How did she end up a zombie? I tried to find our old chat records to show Judy. Why would she suddenly turn into a zombie and head out in pajamas? Judy wondered, looking puzzled at the screen. We had no clue. A weird sense of unease settled over us. Day 15 of the apocalypse, 2024-09-30. I haven't slept well these past couple of days. Nightmares keep replaying of our door being busted open for various reasons, with zombies devouring Judy and me. My parents' cries echo around. Another nightmare woke me up, so I stayed up, browsing my phone for updates. Looks like the rescue might have stopped. A netizen named Dee shared that they live in a newly developed area outside the 4th ring of W City. Apparently, armed personnel had been moving residents one building at a time to a safe zone. But today, midway through, the operation stopped. They even sent people back to their homes, leaving only some supplies. D also uploaded pictures of the military supplies left behind and the armored cars leaving. The post blew up. Even in the middle of the night, everyone was on edge. Comments were asking for D's exact location or saying the same thing was happening in other cities. One comment stood out, "Midnight Bell, trust no one. There are mutated zombies." I quickly tapped on his profile picture to DM him, hoping to get more info. I kept refreshing my phone, eagerly waiting for his reply, but his chat status stayed the same. A long while passed, long enough for me to give up and start scrolling through other comments to find more info about the rescue when my phone chimed. I opened it, and there it was, "Midnight Bells, the rescue zone has fallen. Don't trust anyone. Staying inside gives you the best chance to survive." I quickly replied with a thanks and assured him I wouldn't go out. Judy was walking in from the living room to the bedroom. Seeing I wasn't resting, she raised an eyebrow and asked, "What's up?" Her face was serious, eyebrows furrowed. I showed her the phone and explained the weird comment. Judy's smile slowly faded. "So the rescue zone's fallen, huh? And what's with the mutant zombies? Like monsters from a biohazard movie, big enough to flatten a boat?" Judy said, handing my phone back with a puzzled look. "I don't know. Maybe it's like those mutant dogs with Venus flytrap heads," I joked, trying to lighten the mood. "But hey, isn't the rescue zone supposed to have the military and weapons? If they're done for, what chance do we have?" Judy looked at me, then out at the zombies below. By now, there were too many zombies to count, multiplying every day, each at a different stage of decay. It was clear that while we were cocooned at home thinking life was somewhat normal, many people had perished. Well, if there are mutant zombies, maybe there are mutant humans too, huh? Maybe we're chosen ones, like Alice. Judy avoided the grim reality, joking to lighten things up a bit. It's been 2 weeks since everything went south. Watching the apocalypse unfold, with more zombies and failed attempts to find supplies, we quietly learned not to talk about how grim things really were. We didn't want to break that fragile mental wall and fall into despair. One morning, 2 people fully decked in protective gear came out of Building 13. One had a spear made from a mop, the other a baseball bat. These guys were fit, skillfully avoiding the zombies' attention and attacks. They made it to the supermarket at the bottom and locked the door. Honestly, this was probably the best news I'd seen in days. As the sun rose, someone forwarded rumors about rescue operations being halted in the property chat. It was soon flooded with curses, a mask of humanity finally torn off. Besides the zombie crisis, coastal cities were facing environmental crises. A user posted drone footage of the coast. It was just a minute long, but you could clearly see zombies strolling along. The sea was a pitch black, and loads of fish floated on the surface. Occasionally, birds attracted by the stench would plummet lifelessly before landing. People online speculated that it might have been caused by a country dumping nuclear waste into the ocean, but there was no one left to blame. Their nation's selfishness and blind trust in foreign powers had already doomed them to fall to zombies within a week of the outbreak. Lately, I've been thinking that maybe this zombie virus is nature's revenge. Fed up with the damage humans have done, nature created a virus, with a little help from international bioresearch, that would turn us against each other. Online chaos was one thing. Reality was like something out of a twisted fantasy. People were at others, demanding they share their supplies and threatening to raid their homes. Someone fell from a window, choosing to end it all in this hellscape. And others sent out cries for help, saying someone was trying to break their door down. That afternoon, I got an alert from my old apartment's camera. Some guy was lurking near the door. I recognized him as the guy I shared the elevator with while moving my snacks. But our old place had a fingerprint lock that he couldn't crack open. The guy was trying to jimmy it with a screwdriver, yelling, "Hey, open up and share your stuff, or else. Give it over peacefully, or you won't like it when I open it myself." I shuddered to think what would have happened if we still lived there. Very glad we decided to move our stuff out that night. People's true colors, huh? I turned off my phone, deleted the surveillance app, and refused to witness any more of humanity's dark side. Day 23 of the apocalypse, 20241008. It was supposed to be a bustling holiday. People should be traveling, visiting friends and family. Now, it's nothing but hell on earth. It took just a few hours from learning that rescue had stopped to revealing the ugly side of humanity. With hordes of zombies outside, instead of banding together, people chose to rob each other. The cries for help never stopped. The owner of 12 to 1602 was the first target of a self-fashioned raid team. They'd spent days refurbishing their place with solar panels and reinforcing defenses. After attacking mercilessly, they broke through the high-security door. The family of 4 was thrown out the window, feeding the zombies below, attracted by the noise. After claiming the massive stockpile from 1602, the raiders didn't stop. They used 1602 as their new base and started trading essentials at absurd rates. Having slept poorly, and with zero appetite, I fell sick. In the morning, I couldn't get up and lay there shivering under the blankets. Judy noticed and scrambled to give me hot water and meds, yet I wasn't getting better. Knock, knock, knock. The sound startled us from the entryway. Judy and I locked eyes, both terrified. No one should know we moved in here. So who could be knocking? With no response inside, the knocking got more frantic. Anyone in there? Open up. A raspy man's voice came through the door. Panicked, I didn't dare move. My palms were sweaty, soaking through Judy's arm with cold sweat. Just when we were mentally bracing ourselves to check out the door, the shouting and pounding suddenly stopped. I sighed with relief and thought about reinforcing the door. Then I remembered we had a camera installed, so I quickly asked Judy to check it with her phone. The guy knocking was short and skinny, a bit scruffy, but didn't look like he was starving. In fact, he seemed to be doing all right. There were some faint red marks on his sleeves though. Not sure what they were. He didn't seem short on supplies, so why was he knocking on doors? And he left after just a few knocks. Really weird. Judy helped me limp back to the room. That guy might be the owner of Unit 203. I remember hearing he went to the underground garage with other residents and got eaten by zombies. I recall his profile pic in the owners group was a selfie, something about it we joked about, like, middle-aged guy's confidence is something else. Maybe he chickened out and didn't go. But then, how'd he get the guts to knock on doors in the building? Judy handed me a glass of water to stop me from overthinking and told me to just rest. Back in bed, I couldn't sleep. My mind was racing. The aborted rescue, the unexpected zombies in pajamas downstairs, rumors of mutated ones, the fallen rescue zones, heaps of dead fish at the shore, people turning into beasts. Is there any hope left in this world? I've always believed the government wouldn't abandon us unless things were beyond saving. But looking at the low-level zombs downstairs, they haven't even breached the entrance all this time. So if it's not the zombs, then what's preventing the rescue? What's got the military so tied up? Day 24 of the Apocalypse, 2024-1009. I had a series of weird dreams. In one, a pigtail girl knelt crying, munching on a lady's stomach. She cried, "Sorry, Mom," but couldn't stop eating the bloody mess hungrily. She turned, sticky blood dripping, and grinned at me saying, "I'm still so hungry." In another dream, I was home for Christmas, decorations all around. Mom and Dad at the table inviting me over. But in the pot was a human hand. I was chasing someone, running hard, but couldn't see who. Tried calling out but only muffled sounds came out. Then, in the mirror, I saw my decayed face. Groggily waking from the dream, Judy was by the bed, still keeping watch, telling me that the power and water were out. Ever since we learned the rescue was a no-go, there'd been all sorts of robbery incidents. Losing life essentials now will only bring more death. Without power and internet, we're cut off. We have to take shifts watching outside to keep a clue of what's happening. But honestly, there's not much to see. More and more zombies, more suicides, sometimes survivors escape in cars only to never return or die after coming back with supplies. Our chat's dwindled, no more silly jokes. Both deep in thought, what's the point of living like this? Day 27 of the Apocalypse, 2024-1012. Late night, I got Judy to rest for our shift watch. I spotted a note hanging from upstairs. Do you have vitamin C? Can trade for instant noodles. A warning hit me like a bell, don't trust anyone. Besides, how did upstairs know we were here and had supplies? Was it really just about the vitamins? Seeing no response, another note and a plastic bag came down, 2 packs of noodles. We mean no harm, a mate has scurvy, please trust us, we won't bother again. After thinking a while, I figured I'd help them. First, they knew we were here but haven't been aggressive. Choosing to trade at night suggests they too want to avoid trouble, likely or hold up like us. Second, they seemed sincere and we haven't interacted with anyone for ages. More allies might boost our confidence in surviving this apocalypse. We really need some hope. I woke Judy and shared my thoughts. She agreed. Grabbed vitamins, put them in the bag, and left it at the window. Upstairs quickly reeled it in. As the bag lifted, hope flickered again for the future. Maybe I do dream big. Just a glimmer of hope. I'm already imaging rebuilding a new world post-apocalypse with our neighbors upstairs. I could hole up for another 20 years. Later, we started occasionally trading stuff. Though not short of anything, we'd accept their trades, not wanting them to feel they're mooching or revealing our massive stash. Upstairs seemed to have a kid and recently have asked for medicines, one specifically for children's antibiotics. That time, we threw in a couple eggs. They were super grateful. These days, Judy and I mostly just watch zombies, wait for notes from upstairs at night, think about what to eat, and laugh at how it's been a month since either of us showered. There haven't been any other survivors around the neighborhood for a while. Those who are able have tried to get out. Strangely, that group of robbers has vanished too. No idea if they're holed up in 1602 with enough supplies or got eaten by zombies. It's the 45th day since all of this started. We finally figured out why the military stopped their rescue operations. Watching the owner of 203 casually stroll through a crowd of zombies downstairs, everything makes sense now. The stench from the second floor, the ever-increasing pajama-clad zombies, people who went scavenging with him and never returned, and how he knocked on doors everywhere all fit together when he appeared. Midnight whispers about these mutated zombies retaining human cognition but having a thirst for human blood. This explains why the rescue area fell and the aid ceased. It's impossible to discern who the real survivors are. The owner of 203 walked up to the supermarket door in the community, kicking it fiercely, ignoring the other zombies attracted by the noise. It was bizarre. I recall 2 survivors were there in the early days. As the zombies amassed, the supermarket door eventually couldn't hold. With 2 horrific screams, it was all over. Was he eating through each home that day? The thought gives me chills. How can you survive against such a monster? The owner of 203 squeezed out from the throng of zombies, looking up in our direction with a grotesque grin. I stumbled back from the curtain, almost falling, but Judy caught me and said, "He's not grinning at us. He gave up last time, he doesn't know we're here." Thinking it over, she was right. Our place is solid, and we've covered the door cracks with towels and plastic wrap, so he'd need sound or scent to find us. Surely there was no leakage, or he'd have been in already. Plus, there are lots of units in this direction, we might not even be the target. Could he be smiling at someone upstairs? We need to warn the folks above to beef up defenses. But communication has always been led by them. In broad daylight, it's hard to get their attention. While trying to figure out how to send a warning, a sudden change of events, loud banging came from upstairs, followed by a new note, "Please, take my daughter." Judy and I rushed over, not understanding what taking in meant until a rope made of sheets dangled down. We hurried to the window, looking up. It was our first face-to-face with the folks upstairs. A serene and gentle-looking mother with short hair approached, smiling through her tears, whispering thanks as she secured her daughter with a safety rope. The banging got louder and then stopped abruptly as I felt a sudden dread. Seeing us take in the girl, the sister upstairs quickly dropped the sheet rope. The tearful girl, her tears burning on my arm, was well behaved and didn't cry out loud. A few minutes later, we saw the sister from upstairs clutching the owner of 203 as they fell. Her eyes were bloodshot, her clothes soaked in blood, yet she still managed to eliminate the threat to her daughter. With the girl settled, she introduced herself as Alice, 13 years old. Before this nightmare, she must have had a pretty happy life. She was weak, always feverish, and at a growth stage where her diet was lacking, it showed in her lethargy. Our hearts ached for Alice. We scoured our stash for snacks a kid might like, giving them all to her. Alice, a bit timid, was cautious with the treats, only tasting small bits and claiming to be full. We often found her secretly in tears, yet she never wanted us to worry and was eager to help around. This only made us more empathetic, but unsure how to connect with a post-2010s kid, we just offered food repeatedly, trying to comfort and support her. It's the 89th day since everything began. The neighborhood is now eerily quiet. With the mutated owner of 203 dead from the fall, there have been no new disturbances. Birds aren't even around anymore, maybe because of the zombie virus or ocean pollution. Seeing no danger, I tried airing out the place once. As the window opened, a revolting stench drove me back, beyond decay, an odd sourness I couldn't pinpoint. Alice slowly warmed up to us. We'd share stories when we couldn't sleep, those moments felt like escaping reality. We laughed and joked, not worried about what was to come. It even rained a few days, plunging temperatures. We wrapped in fuzzy coats, enjoying hot pot with tomato soup. Lacking veggies, but the meat and balls were delicious. However, since it got colder, Alice's cough worsened. None of the herbal remedies seemed to help. Not wanting to disturb us, she'd stifle her coughs at night or hide in the bathroom. We were concerned for Alice, but felt helpless. All we could do was layer her clothing, adjust our cooking for nutrition, and each night pray for her recovery. It's the 93rd day since the beginning. Alice is gone. On her bed, she spoke of missing her parents, reassuring us it was okay, because she'd see them soon. She apologized, urging Judy and me to keep going, saying she didn't want to see us again so soon. Quietly, she closed her eyes and never opened them again. Judy and I were by the bed, sobbing uncontrollably. She was so young and sensible. How could a cold from a temperature drop take her life? We were clueless about what to do with Alice's body. We escaped back to the bedroom, avoiding the reality that it might just be the two of us left in this city. Oh, yeah, my mom and dad. I haven't dared think about them in a long time. I'm scared to conclude that they've already gone. The psychoanalysis folks say people often avoid painful truths by using defense mechanisms. They hide the memories that bring them pain for a little relief. Judy and I moved the bed to the sofa in the living room. We snuggled there every day, silently agreeing not to mention Alice's passing. We were trying to keep everything seemingly normal. At least we still had each other. Day 99 of the apocalypse. Alice started giving off a rotten smell. We couldn't ignore her passing anymore, and we had to figure out how to handle her body. Out of nowhere, Judy got really angry. Somehow, she found the strength to wrap Alice in a blanket, open the window, and throw her out. It all happened so fast. I was still in shock when Judy finished and started crying by the window. I went over to hug her, feeling her sobs and how her body shook. It's okay, Judy. You still have me. I pressed my body against hers, hoping my words gave her some strength. We finally faced the situation. We tore open wounds as we talked about the things we'd been avoiding. Faint hope and harsh reality made us numb. The will to survive was fading away. In this world, what's the point of clinging to life? We made a bucket list for a peaceful end, planning to leave together after completing it. Day 115 of the apocalypse. It snowed today. The endless cold spread, with snowflakes dancing in the air. All we saw was ice and a vast, silent city wrapped in white. Seeing one last snowfall was the final item on our list. We tried completing things like baking a cake, drawing portraits of each other, and learning a dance. It was time to go. We still cared about looking good. Even if we were leaving, we wanted to dress up. So we dragged clothes from all corners, picking out outfits for each other. While carrying a pile of clothes past the coffee table, I accidentally knocked over the radio. Somehow it turned on. After some static, a steady male voice came on. The underground base is complete. Survivors, hold on. Leave signs in visible places for the rescue team. The rescue mission will arrive within 3 days after this recording. We froze, pulling the radio closer, listening to the recording over and over. We held each other, crying. We'd finally made it to this day. Later, we strung bright clothes outside the window. On the morning of the 3rd day, the rescue helicopter came. It dropped off 2 fully armored soldiers in gas masks, who then descended to get us. You're safe now, a young soldier firmly told us as they opened the door. After a ton of checks, we made it to the underground base. There were way more survivors than we thought. Everyone was working together to build a new community. Though the facilities were simple, things were getting better. Maybe in 10 or 20 years, we'll solve the zombie virus and pollution, returning to our above-ground homes. But, will this be humanity's last catastrophe? Compared to the mutated virus on land, the deep, unpredictable ocean is Earth's biggest Pandora's box.